In the summer of 1922, a young man by the name Nick Carraway moves from Minnesota to New York to work as a bond salesman. He rents a house in the West Egg, a wealthy district on Long Island which is populated by the new rich, a class of people who have made their fortunes too recently and who like to display their wealth. Nick's next-door neighbor in West Egg is one of those people, a mysterious man named Jay Gatsby, who lives in a gigantic Gothic mansion and throws extravagant parties every Saturday night. One night Nick drives to East Egg to have dinner with his cousin, Daisy, and her husband Tom Buchanan, a classmate of Nick's at Yale. There he meets Jordan Baker, a beautiful and cynical professional golfer. She confided to Nick that Tom is having an affair. Nick was doubtful until he sees Tom's mistress with his own eyes. Tom invites Nick to a party he organized in New York City. On the way, Tom picks up his mistress, Myrtle Wilson, the wife of George Wilson, the owner of an auto shop in an industrial area between West Egg and New York City called the Valley of Ashes. However, at the party, Myrtle gets drunk and makes fun of Daisy, and that is where Tom punches her and breaks her nose. As the summer progresses, Nick attends one of Gatsby's extravagant Saturday night parties. He runs into Jordan there and meets Gatsby for the first time. A surprisingly young man with an English accent and a remarkable smile who calls everyone old sport, as per Nick. Gatsby asks to speak to Jordan alone, and through Jordan, Nick later learns more about his mysterious neighbor. Gatsby tells Jordan that he knew Daisy in Louisville in 1917 and is deeply in love with her. He spends many nights staring at the green light at the end of her dock, across the bay from his mansion. Gatsby's extravagant lifestyle and wild parties are simply an attempt to impress Daisy. Gatsby now wants Nick to arrange a reunion between himself and Daisy, but he is afraid that Daisy will refuse to see him if she knows that he still loves her. Nick invites Daisy to have tea at his house, without telling her that Gatsby will also be there. After an initially awkward reunion, Gatsby and Daisy re-establish their connection. Their love rekindled, they begin an affair. As they drive home, Tom, Nick, and Jordan come upon an accident. Myrtle has been hit and killed by a car. Tom realizes that it must have been Gatsby's car that struck Myrtle, and he curses Gatsby as a coward for driving off. But Nick learns from Gatsby later that night that Daisy was actually behind the wheel. Tom tells George Wilson, the victim's husband, that the driver of the yellow car that hit Myrtle is also her lover, Gatsby. Later on in the afternoon, Nick has a kind of premonition and is shocked to find Gatsby shot to death in his pool, obviously by Wilson's, whose dead body was also found a few yards away. Nick organizes a small funeral for Gatsby, but none of the people who were supposedly Gatsby's friends come. He eventually moves back to the Midwest to escape the disgust he feels for the people surrounding Gatsby's life and for the emptiness and moral decay of life among the wealthy on the East Coast. Towards the end of the novel, Nick reflects that just as Gatsby's dream of Daisy was corrupted by money and dishonesty, the American dream of happiness and individualism has disintegrated into the mere pursuit of wealth. Though Gatsby's power to transform his dreams into reality is what makes him great, Nick reflects that the era of dreaming, both Gatsby's dream and the American dream, is over.